Good morning and welcome back to the Up Zone where understanding is made simple. We are your three hosts. We have Elmer Floyd, our distinguished former North Carolina House Representative for the 43rd District. Good morning, Mr. Floyd.
Good morning.
We've also got Mr. Theodore Ted Moan, our distinguished former City Council member from the 9th District of the City of Fayetteville. Good morning, Mr. Moan.
Good morning.
And then we have myself, Tisha S. Waddell, former City Council representative for the 3rd District in the City of Fayetteville. And we are here to talk about the gritty in the city and the word on the curb. But before we get started, gentlemen, what is up with all of these heightened allergies right now? Like last week, we couldn't record because my face was swollen and my nose was jacked. And what is going on with our air quality?
There was all that smoke from Canada. Oh my goodness.
You think it's coming on down in Fayetteville, getting us messed up too?
Oh, it got us last week. My eyes were red for like 4 days straight.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm ready to be able to breathe like just normal. I want all of this to clear up. Mr. Floyd, how's life treating you today?
Um, Happy.
Did you say happy or happening?
That's a better way to put it.
You are what's happening. Listen, I want to point out something that I noticed when we were running through our show prep this morning. You have a picture sitting behind you. It's a very I noticed it immediately, but I want you to tell the people who those two people are sitting in that picture above your head.
One is the Elmer Floyd, and the other is the Barack Obama, the
I
president.
told you, I said, look, when I saw that, I said, you must be somebody, sir.
No, it was taken at Fayetteville State when he came to Fayetteville at I believe it was Cape Arena.
During his first bid for presidency.
It may have been his second, I believe.
Okay.
His second, I believe.
Okay.
That we had an opportunity to go behind stage and take a picture with him prior to him coming to the podium. And I feel
Okay.
delighted about that. When I was given that opportunity, and that was very rare.
Yeah. Look,
I,
I doubt, Mr. Floyd, that was very rare. You are the man to know. I mean, I know you downplay it often, but you are the man to know.
but Tish, you're not gonna pump me up the field.
Not
No,
today, huh?
no, you're not. You're not going to do that. But one thing that as we go to our program, I think that if you all looked at the city budget, you would see where Doug mentioned that I think with 19.5 million a salary lag or lap that they can sort of put over in a fund that as those positions comes available, they was going to pull those funds out and then place them in the various departments. So give the city a little cushion. So we talked about that on the program. That's the way because you're not going to fill all the positions within that window of 90 days once the budget or salary are appropriated. So that was a wise decision.
Mr.
Yeah,
Floyd, I love you dearly, but that was a horrible segue, sir. You could have just said, Waddell, be quiet. We moving on.
No. It just dawned on me right then, because we talk about so much, and
Right.
I think that the public need to know that some of the things that we talk about, uh, you know, we don't
That
get any credit for.
talking about. Yeah. So
We have
let
something, you know.
go ahead and get into the gritty in the city and the word on the curb. So let's start there. Let's start talking about that budget process because that's been a huge conversation. We're getting a little bit closer to seeing a budget presented and voted on. Ted, you've got some graphics that sort of walk us through where we are. Let's talk about this because it's a constant shift. So where are we at as of the last city?
right. So they met yesterday at noon, and it lasted about almost 2.5 hours. So there's been some rethinking because we know some council members didn't want to go all the way with 4.25 cents, for the um, general obligation bond. And then there was another 2.75 cents, so a total of 7 pennies increase on our property tax. Or so 7 pennies on $100,000 house would be $70. So they looked at some options. A couple weeks ago, I sent all the council members the statute about the use of the uh, license plate
Mhm.
tax, and
Tell
it
our
can be used
audience
for
about
all.
that. Tell our audience what it can be used for.
Right. So right now it's $10. $5 of the value, $650, goes to transit. The other $650 uh, goes to the general fund for any legal purpose. The state says you can raise it up to $30, and the $30 has to be used with road improvements. And road improvements are huge. I mean, it could be mediums, intersections, resurfacing, um, new traffic lights, multi-lane markings. And so what they talked in a little bit in depth yesterday was we two things was they have no projects right now proposed by any developer for the housing improvements. So that $12 million staff had said, council, you don't have to borrow that money now. You have 7 years from the day of our November elections where the voters authorize you to borrow up to $12 million for housing.
Mm-hmm.
Authorized does not mean you have to do it. And so there was discussion, and there was only like 6 council members there yesterday.
Why is our
Maybe 7.
council not actively participating in the biggest discussion regarding our dollars? What's going on with
Well,
that, Ted? This is the second
we,
time you've said that we've not had total participation.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe because it was in the middle of the day, and some people do work in the middle of the day. From 12 to 2:30, like yesterday. So anyway, so they may not borrow that money, which will save a little bit on the property tax increase. And then what was said that for the $25 million that the voters approved, they also explained that the city council can use any sort revenue fund to repay those general obligation bonds. You think about it typically as a property tax increase, but what they explained yesterday, by going up $20 on the vehicle, that's going to bring in roughly $2.6 million a year, throughout the year, because everybody has different months that they the taxes and tags together. Unlike the
Mm-hmm.
property tax, it all hits in September, October, November. So staff said you can reduce the 4.25 cents that was proposed for the general obligation bonds.
Mm-hmm.
You could reduce that by 1.75 cents, because you're not going to borrow the 12 million at front. You can borrow that later and increase the property tax, and the money from the license plate tax would pay for the $25 million debt service, which is the
Mm-hmm.
money plus the interest rate, and still have roughly $750,000 every year extra that could then be used for, I think they called it the pavement preservation program, street resurfacing, or any other legal use around improving, maintaining, creating, constructing roads. So they were looking at that pretty hard, at least the group that was present. So if they go that route, instead of our property tax going up by 7 cents, they would reduce it to 5.25. So now a $100,000 house would be 52.5 cents. Yeah, $52.5 annually instead of
But
$70.
just people who have those vehicles are still looking at 20 per vehicle. So if
Right,
you
and
have
it's
that value of a home and then you have 2 cars, you're not
yep.
just looking at a $52 increase, you're looking at a $52 increase plus 20 plus 20, which is a $92 increase annually.
It could, and they call it the license tag, license plate tax, because
Mhm.
any vehicle, including trailers, construction trailers, or the trailers you see with people
Right.
with their lawns
Anything that
and
has a
everything,
license tag.
right? Anything. So you could, instead of doing $52.50 or more, you're right. Yeah, but I got it broken down in the bottom right. If they do everything that's proposed, including the $37 increase from the county trash service, in the bottom right corner, you see what the impact, for a single vehicle home, going up this year, $149.50 for $100,000 house,
Mhm.
$123 for a $50,000 house, and just over $200 a year, um, you for a $200,000 house.
And
And
that's the fees. That's all the taxes and
that's
so if you have more than
right.
one license tag at your house, just add $20 for each one that you have, and then you've got an estimate of what that looks like.
Right. And we discussed a couple of weeks ago how these fees, these taxes are flat taxes. And so just above the bottom right, there's the two green lines. Um, the, the top green line is the, the, the fees increases, over time. Um, and then the percent right below it is the percent of these fees, that have increased, from 2013 all the way up to the present. A $200,000 house, 63, almost 64% of those are fees, taxes. And then you go to a $100,000 house, it's almost 78% of the cumulative, you know, combined increases over the years. And then when you go down to a $50,000 house, look at that. It's almost 88% of their increases came from these fees. Not so much the property tax,
Right.
but almost 90% of that increase over the years is because of past and current council members and county commissioners, increasing fees. So it's just a snapshot. I'll take this down.
That's good information. Mr. Floyd, let me ask you a question. When you look at this, do you think, with your knowledge as an elected official and as a homeowner, do you think it would have been smarter for the council to with just a tax increase? Because that would have equitably affected homeowners based upon property rate, and it would not have been so punitive against the people who may be of lower income. That the council is this in the right.
Well, Teach, can I just go back and then come
For
forward,
sure.
please? Well, as the council planned its budget this year, don't forget that PWC want to give the city less money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's one thing you have to remember going forward. Then you also have to remember what the county commissioner is doing as it relates to sales tax. Then you got to factor in the federal government is going to do another rate increase at the end, sometime this year, and maybe two. So when you look at it, do you do it now so that you can get a jump on the next year budget? Because when you're saying that you're going to roll back that, and the federal government is going to increase its blending rate, so it's going to cut into the numbers that Ted uh, just mentioned. So you have to bite the bullet now because you know what's coming down the road as
Mhm.
finance persons.
Yeah,
That's just fine.
and
You have to bite it now because you know the other is coming down the road.
right, and that's a great point, Mr. Floyd, because Doug Hewitt, the city manager, explained multiple times in these different budget meetings or workshops that this is really they're trying to get through a 3-year budget cycle. This is just year one, and then year two, and then the next year when the full effect of the loss of sales tax. So he was very good about saying, this is a tough budget this year, but just wait. You got next year and the third year that you have to incrementally get ready for this loss of sales tax. So
But I think Keith, again, for instance, your physical staff, I don't know if they do or don't, because I know more about at the state level, can give you a forecast, and I think that as Ted just mentioned, see, you can do a 2-year budget and then come back on the second council term and tweak that and see where we are as it relates to our projected revenue anticipation, whether we are there, whether we have to reduce or whatever. You get a better picture, as Ted mentioned, like a 2 budget year cycle than just a 1. The second year should be just a tweak the first year budget.
Right. Well, I think that it's still something to watch. It's certainly something for us to watch. I am.
But be prepared now. Be prepared now. You're gonna get a rate increase this year, and you're gonna get one next year and the year after that now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And so the recommendation, like you said, is just be prepared.
Just be prepared. It's coming.
And we are going to have to, just as we hear. Oh, you know what? We did not give the acknowledgement that it's my understanding that the city of Fayetteville was awarded the All-American City Award. Is that accurate?
Yes. Yeah, I watched it. I put it on.
Congratulations to the city of Fayetteville for that. I was getting ready to talk about how we hear of the city having to cut cost and trim the fat in their spending. And it made me think about that because that was a big production and they had to fly a lot of people out somewhere. And I know in our budget, when we're cutting costs, we're not doing extra stuff like flying people out somewhere. However, congratulations to the city of Fayetteville. But I will say that I think that we need to each be looking at our budget and seeing where we can make some accommodations to hold on to a couple extra dollars so we can make sure we have them to pay those taxes and those fees when they hit our property bill, because it's inevitable. It's coming. It's coming.
I'm getting ready to get this weekend my car inspected and get my plates because it expires next month. So I want to do this. I only got to pay $10 instead of $20.
That's right. I know that's right. Go ahead and take care of it.
Now remember, Ted, now at one point in time, we used to send out tags and stuff like that to Charlotte. And there was a nice company that was collecting 7 cents on every transaction. The state said, I think we can do this. So the states now get that 7 cents. So you can see, the state look at it, if you can make 7 cents, why don't I just make it off each license plate?
Yeah, I can dig it. So we also have municipally, we also have elections coming up soon. Ted, let's talk about that really quickly before we move into talking about what's happening at the House and Senate level.
Okay, so let me share this.
Now, before you get started, let's talk about why this is significant that elections are coming up at this time. This council that's seated came in late based upon the redistricting process. And so they have not been able to serve the traditional 2-year term. And so what we're seeing are some of the people who are seated right now are getting ready to run for reelection, although they've not had the benefit of a full term. And we've also got some people who had extended terms from the prior term because of that redistricting. So what are we hearing in terms of, I know you had a poll up on Facebook and you were saying, hey, who's planning on running? So let's just jump right in and talk about it.
So what I found so far, the assumption is all incumbents run again for something. So right now, Freddie Dela Cruz, who I have right behind, below Mayor Colvin, he's running. They got a fundraiser later this month. Alex Rodriguez has said he's running in District 1 again against Kathy Jensen. Malik Davis, who you might know because he was one of the first members of the Millennial Council. He has posted on his Facebook that he is running against Shaquilla Ingram. And then in District 5, Fred LaChance, who ran against Johnny Dawkins last time, is running again. So we have three people running again that had lost to the incumbents. Well, heck, that was just last June. Yeah, yeah, it was a year
Right,
ago. Yeah,
right.
and the new one is Malik Davis. I've seen him come before city council, like in public forums. He seems like a very articulate, very smart. He lived in District 2 his entire life, according to his Facebook page. And so that could be an interesting race because who was it? Shaquilla and Tyrone Williams in the general. That was a pretty close race. So
And Tyrone came with baggage and still, won in he came through the primary and performed well in the general election. So it'll be interesting to see how somebody without that same negative baggage coming with them will perform against this incumbent.
right. And I haven't heard anybody who has confirmed, Mario Beneventi on the left, DJ Hare, Derek Thompson, Brenda McNair, Courtney Banks McLaughlin, and Dino Hondros in the bottom right. No one's come out, but what people need to know is 3 weeks from tomorrow, Friday, noon, the municipal filing season opens and it runs through for 2 weeks through noon on the 21st of July. So three
I'm going
weeks
to tell
from
you what
tomorrow.
I'm going to tell you what I think are going to be the seats to watch. I think that the mayoral seat is going to be one to watch because I have a suspicion, based upon some conversations that I've had, some very, some people I can trust. I've had some conversations that indicate that we're going to see a Kathy Jensen run for mayor.
Hmm.
I also think that it will be interesting to watch District 2 because, as you've stated, I do believe that with Davis putting his name in the hat, and he's got some experience politically, maybe not as a politician, but most certainly in working, like you said, with the Millennial Advisory Committee and also some relationships that may serve him well in running for District 2. I know I have been informed that he was very chivalrous about his intentions. He he has not come in negatively, and that's a good way to start a campaign. I think another one to watch is most certainly going to be District 1 because if it does pan out that Jensen decides she's going to move forward and run for mayor, she's been on the defense about this for several years, and her hesitation has always been not wanting to run against Mitch. But I think that at some point she'll realize that if this is something she wants to do, she's just going to have to go ahead and do it. I know that she wants to be the next female mayor. And I believe that if she makes that leap, we're going to see a real I think people should prepare if they want to run in District 1. I know on your post, I read Simone Pemberton's response. She was the chairman of she may still be, of the Human Relations Commission.
Yeah,
And
she's
she
still on
was
there.
right. And it was interesting because she said, I'm not running. Like, it was the double negative. I'm not. So it was almost as if to say, you can expect to see my name on the ballot. I also think I'm going to tell you, I think District 3 might be somewhere to watch and not, well, I'll just leave it at that. I think District 3 might be somewhere to watch. I know that there had been a lot of conversation about District 7 about a couple of people on the council really trying to recruit somebody to run against Brenda McNair. I don't know if they were able to find somebody, but y'all know how that goes. When you tick somebody off, or when they don't, when they're not necessarily jiving with you, they go out and they seek to find somebody to put up against you. And so I think that will be one to watch. I will also say this because of how polarizing the race was against Dino and Yvonne last term. I think that's going to be another seat to watch because if Yvonne decides to run again, if former Councilmember Kinston decides to run again, I think that's going to pan out to be a very interesting election. So I will say those are the ones I think are really to keep your eyes on. I think when it comes to Johnny, if Johnny decides to run again, I don't think that this LaChance guy really stands much of a chance. I think that if when it comes to Rodriguez and even De La Cruz, let me just say this. I saw De La Cruz sign. It is so much better than the sign the first year. The sign that he put up, like people will actually be able to read that. But I think those guys, they're really they're the way that they play to the narrative, it's not going to resonate with this community in a way that will get them elected. And so unless they change the way they put their messaging out, they're really not a threat at this point. DJ is like bulletproof at this point. You know, he's Mr. District 4. So as long as he decides to run, I don't see anything really changing that. Although that article that I read about those people in Foxfire being upset about the gas situation over there,
Oh yeah,
initially that could have been a problem for him. But I think, you know, they've resolved their ought against him, and I think DJ's going to be just fine.
right.
The guy that ran in Chris's district, what's his name again?
Derek Thompson.
Yeah, that's an interesting one too because he really stepped in it this year. Like he really stepped in it when it came to wanting to just arbitrarily change council term limits. I mean council term length.
Right.
So if somebody really wanted to jump on that and ride that wave, because he said some things that turned off the whole city, not just his district. So I think if somebody wanted to jump in and ride that, then he may have a situation on his hands. But this is going to be a very interesting election cycle to watch. Mr. Floyd, what are your thoughts about this?
Again, Chief, you, you know, the minority in numbers really dictate who runs the city. So, you know, what I mean by that is that we have a small percentage of voters that vote. And I consider that the minority as it relates to the voting population.
Oh yeah.
That minority population is telling the majority who they want to have elected. As you mentioned about Brenda McNair, if anyone know about uh, uh, finding someone to run for office, you know, I can share that with you because that's what happened to me. You know, when you are not towing the line as they want you to toe the line, and that's that minority, not the majority now, that has an influence over the minority. So when you, so when you really look at it, it's a very few people that's going out and vote for these 10 slots, five, well, 9 slots plus the mayor make 10.
Right.
So
And
it, go on.
yeah, and we all know city council elections, you're gonna get about anywhere from 8 to 12% participation. And I even went back to the general obligation bonds and looked at uh, just Fayetteville voters who could vote for it. And you had less than 3 out of 10 voters, even vote for it. You know, we had what, a 44% participation rate. And, while the bonds passed, when you look at who voted for it, you're only talking 22%. 2 out of 10 registered voters approved the city borrowing up to $97 million. So, like you said, Mr. Floyd, a minority is controlling the majority of registered voters. Across all races, all parties. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's just look at the raw numbers, regardless of race or party. And in Fayetteville, it is. It's a small.
But that's why you see, that's why it sort of stagnate growth because that minority is really controlling the economic purse of the majority.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so that's why, Tish, you don't see a lot of shift, a lot of shifting and a lot of shift. That's why we are at the same place we were when I graduated from Fayetteville State University.
That was just last year, Mr. Floyd. That hadn't been that long
That's
ago.
some decades ago. Some decades ago. And so,
Well, let me but if you but let's sit there for just a second because when we talk about progress, I think that Fayetteville State stands as a very clear marker of what it looks like when you have somebody come in and say, I'm not going to play the game you're used to seeing people play. Because when this new chancellor, Chancellor Allison, came in, some people were in an uproar about his coming in. Chancellor Allison came in. He changed plans. He changed minds. He changed the footprint of Fayetteville State, and he did it building off of what he had already seen in the works. And he was aggressive enough to say, "I would like my full 5-year budget in 1 year. Let me work with the full 5-year budget in 1 year." And he has taken that and really shifted not only the footprint of Fayetteville State, but like there. Listen, y'all, Chick-fil-A is coming to that end of Murkison Road.
Yes.
Let me say it again. I need one more time. You couldn't even get a pizza place to come and deliver on that end of Murkison Road. When the storms came through, we were out working in the little apartments that got flooded out down on that end. We
Mount
couldn't even
Sinai.
call to Mount Sinai. We couldn't even call to get a pizza delivered down there. But you have one of the biggest fast food chains, one of the most successful fast food chains, now situating themselves on that end of Murkison Road. There's something happening. So when we and they're doing it separate and apart. This is how I feel. They're doing it separate and apart from the city's purse, because what they did was they said, "No, we don't want to. That what we were gonna do with y'all. We don't want to do that." When Chancellor Allison came in, "No, we don't want to co-locate. What was it? We don't want to the
That's a
The
sports
senior
sports
center.
complex.
Yeah.
Right. Right. We don't want to do that. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. They're rebuilding the dorms. They're renovating. So like when we talk about progress, I think what we need is leadership that's unafraid to actually lead.
Right.
Because when
And
you talk about, hang on, Ted, I'm gonna shut up in just a second. When you talk about the people, not the majority, the minority running the majority, you'd be, well, y'all wouldn't be surprised, but our viewers would be surprised who's really running the council. And the plan that they have in place is the plan that has moved forward. And I'm going to always point back to Vision 2026, because everything they said they wanted from the county and the city, they have gotten.
hmm
Okay, go ahead, Ted. I'm going to shut
uh,
up.
so start at Rowan Street and Murkison Road. And at that intersection, as you go up Murkison Road, on the right side, we called it Catalyst Site 1.
Right one. Mm-hmm.
And then there's a road going right between it, on the right side. So the
That's
northern, yeah. So the northern portion, going up to the Martin Luther King Boulevard, the highway there, I saw something where the city and Fayetteville State is entering into an agreement for Fayetteville State to build student housing and on that northern part of Catalyst Site 1. Because it's out of the floodplain when we had the hurricanes. The lower part, were
out of what flood? Wait, hold here. Out of what floodplain?
that northern part, by the MLK, is
Ted,
outside
now,
the
now don't
floodplain.
forget now, Mount Sinai apartment
Was underwater.
underwater. Okay,
That's
now
because the
all the way
water
over
backed
to
up.
Moore Street now. All the way over to Moore Street. I mean, I'm sorry, all the way over to Hillsborough Street.
Underwater.
Okay, you see. Now, if you ride down there today, you'll see where they hypothetically, and I don't know, there's piles of dirt to build up that area. And I
Mhm.
don't think that you want to place I mean, you can talk to Fayetteville State about putting those kinds of facility in a floodplain, you know, but
But
that's
yeah,
not.
I've looked at the county's floodplain map, and during the hurricane, that upper right closest to the railroad track, um, Mount Sinai did flood. It came from
It is
both.
flood, Ted.
Yeah,
That's
it came from Little Cross Creek and Big Cross Creek. Um, so on the Mount Sinai on the right side, as you're going north, that water backed up in the creek going underneath Martin Luther King Jr. Freeway, and so it all backed up on Mount Sinai. And then we know Murkison Road, where was it? Funeral home used to be,
Yeah.
and yeah, now that is all in the floodplain. So, but that that right as you're going up on the right side across the street from where Pate Funeral Home used to be, that is a little more elevated, and it's not
But
in
that
the.
water, that water was up to Ted. The water is about 4.5 to 5 feet. I mean,
Mhm.
from the ground to the window.
Right, on the Mount Sinai side, but
Yeah.
on the other side of Martin Luther King Jr. Parkway, that part didn't flood. There, I saw all the pictures and everything, and
Did you see? Did you see where Porter had his place at?
on the left side, yeah,
That's on the left side.
yeah. Now
And
that's
Mount
flooded.
Sinai, and
Right.
Mount Sinai is only a throne store away from there. But
Mm-hmm.
that again, don't worry about it. It's the minority controlling majority. Let's just look at another area. She said, "Don't make them, you know."
It is what it is. It
It
is what
is.
it is.
It is what
One
it
day
is.
they'll go back and they'll watch this program and they'll say, "Well, they tried to tell us."
You know that now even that spot you talking about with Fayetteville, where they tried to encourage Fayetteville State to build a dorm. Don't forget now, the city said they want to build a new city hall, and the location that they mentioned was that area right
Yeah,
there.
well, they don't
Okay,
have the money for a new city hall.
not what I'm saying, but that's what they said, that they want to move from this along with the police department and build a new city hall right there.
Hmm. I,
Okay.
I remember the
So it's a
conversation.
funny thing to you how when government, city or county, don't want to do something, then they'll go across the street and encourage others to do what they don't want to do because they know it's not a good economic development.
Hmm.
Okay. I'm sorry, Tisha.
No,
I
no, no need to apologize. No need to apologize at all. I think what we're saying is, the long and the short is people need to pay attention. Just
Yeah,
pay
yeah.
attention and stop thinking that everything that you see you don't have something to do with, because you need to pay attention. Let's take a pause, refresh your coffee, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about what's happening with the sports gambling bill. We're going to talk about Senate Bill 747 and House Bill 749 as it relates to the Board of Election. We will be right back in about. Don't go anywhere.
Are you looking for a real estate agent who knows the Fayetteville community inside and out? Look no further, as your hometown girl LaTanya has extensive experience of our area and experience in its real estate market. LaTanya delivers results. At LMR Realty Group, we all understand that buying or selling a home can be a stressful experience. When you partner with us, you control the decisions while LMR Realty Group guides the process, and together we'll work from contract to close with ease. Whether you're a first-time buyer, downsizing, or expanding your investment portfolio, LMR Realty Group has got you covered. As a bonus, if you call and go under contract by March 31st, LMR Realty Group can cover up to $400 for a home warranty on a resale property with all appliances included. Some exclusions apply. Don't wait. Call 910-574-8225 or visit ELLIMARRealtyGroup.com to get you started. Let's make your dream home a reality with LMR Realty Group.
Okay, and welcome back to the Up Zone, where understanding politics is made simple. Your three hosts are back: myself, Mr. Moan, and Mr. Floyd. We've talked about the city. Let's move on to the state. We were slated to have a guest. I'm not sure what happened, but we won't even tell y'all who the guest was supposed to be, but we will try and re-coordinate that. We wanted to have this guest come on and chat with you guys about state level politics, but that's okay because we also are aware of what's going on with state level politics. What do we have going on in terms of, let me just say this because I want to make sure that our viewers know Mr. Floyd really does like me. He really does. He's not mad at me. He does like me. We talk on the phone outside of this. We're good. So even when we had our exchange about gambling, we are good. And I love Mr. Floyd, and Mr. Floyd loves me. And that is that. And Ted loves me too, and I love him. And
Yes,
it's
sir.
always going to be like that. But What are they trying to do to our state with this sports gambling, Mr. Floyd?
Please, Let's slow your roll down just for a moment.
Okay.
Okay. We got to look at how we can't print money. So we have to look at ways we can generate money. That's one. And when you look at the dough, and every time I see my neighbor going over to Virginia to bet and gamble, I might as well say, let us get some of this revenue. They're driving 1 mile. I mean, they're driving less than an hour. And then they're betting on the internet. But we want to give you a lower income tax and corporate tax. So we got to find some kind of way to offset that.
Yeah.
For instance, the sports gambling thing. Fayetteville State will get $300,000 a year, which most of your sports are done by student fees. So they and by 2027 and 28, they'll get over $1 million. So and sports across the state. So not that I like gambling, T. Now let me explain that to you now. I doubt very seriously you will see me there unless I'm going through a community. Unless I'm going through a community and the store is about to fall down.
Right.
I got one wire running to it, and that's the lotto wire. I will play and bet.
Yeah.
My chance of winning is zero.
Right.
It is not designed for me to win.
Not at all.
No,
Not at all.
If you find the winners, they from business that you got to dig your way through them. So now that's where I'm gonna play it. Now,
Right.
But if you want to go and play every day, T.
Well, Ted, I'll meet you at the slots, Ted. I got $5 to play with.
But don't expect to win.
Right.
It's just entertainment.
Right.
Don't expect to win because do you think Las Vegas is set up to lose money?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And the city of Fayetteville won't be set up to lose money either. Absolutely not.
Okay, so if you want to, I don't think persons should take their personal money. Their rent, their light bill, and the utility bill to try to win from a system that is not designed, for you to win.
Right.
Now,
where is this bill at?
Before I move forward, in order to keep enticing these individuals, Ted, who wants to play the lottery demand, and they fight hard, T, to make sure if you win $10, they take a picture of you.
Yeah.
They keep encouraging those individuals to play. So
yeah.
I'm too Ted. Ted?
Mr. Mountain.
I believe the governor just signed it.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's a bill now.
Yeah.
I think it starts in January.
Yeah.
I want this governor to go sit down somewhere. I'm ready for a new governor. I'm ready for a new one.
He signed it. He signed the bill. He didn't veto it, because he knows that it generates money. And that's what you got to look at, is how you generate money. Just like Ted mentioned, the city won't increase the license tag from $10 to probably $20. Okay, it's money.
Money grabs.
Yep.
Yep. And then black colleges is going to benefit from this, and then small sports programs across the state is going to benefit from it. Not that I like it, T, but it will generate revenue where other states are getting.
Well, that's sports gambling. Ted, you got anything you want to add to the sports? It's a done deal.
No.
Didn't I tell you? Look, because I said it.
I'm sorry.
No, but this is what I'm convinced of this. And I said it when we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. I said it's going to pass because that's the kind of world we live in. But I still want to warn people, watch the uptick in crime. Watch it, because Mr. Floyd, you said it. I don't want people gambling their rent money. We don't want that, but it's most certainly going to happen. And then those men and women are going to bring that frustration back into their home, back into their community, and we're going to see an uptick in crime because that's how this works. And substance abuse and mental, all of the things. And so let's just really hope that we can hope against hope. Let's just hope that there is something in place that will. I'm gonna just leave that alone because it's a done
Thank you.
deal.
Thank you, Tish.
It's a
Thank
done
you.
deal.
But my question to you, my comments to you and Ted, you know, it's not designed for you to win.
Right.
They say that now, so we'll move forward, Tish. It's not
Mhm.
designed. So if you want to go forward, see, and pay your rent money,
Knock yourself out.
yeah,
Knock
it's
yourself
not
out.
designed for you to win now.
Yep. Ted, what you got?
Um, Senate Bill 747, which is very expensive. It's I have a Word document. Let me see that explains it. Hopefully, this will share properly. Okay, so this is a very big, um, big changes, and the biggest one, like Mr. Floyd and I were talking about, um, is the number first one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, right now, absentee ballots can arrive up to 3 days after the close of the polls. What this first number one is that they want to change it to has to arrive at the Board of Elections by 7:30 p.m. that Tuesday night of the general election.
Mm-hmm.
Now, North Carolina does have the longest mail-in ballot period in the United States. 60 days, you could actually receive your mail-in ballot. So you got 60 days to get your ballot and return it.
Which
Now,
gives you more than enough time to be able to meet this obligation, right?
oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And so then number two, no more Zuckerbucks, you know what they called it back there in the presidential, no private money. Remove foreign citizens. So there's a portion in here. You go to jury duty, and a person says, "I can't be on a jury because I'm not a U.S. citizen." If that happens, then I think it's monthly. The county courts have to send a by name list of who said they're not illegal, or who said they're not, not a U.S. citizen. Um, expectable absentee ballot envelopes where citizens can, you can't look inside the ballot, but they can be inspected. Barcoding on
Wait,
envelopes.
Ted, wait. Don't move past that. Please explain that because are we just saying you can take the envelope and look at what are you looking for?
That I don't understand, because you have to have signatures, right? Or it's supposed to be sealed. Maybe they want to make sure it's not unsealed or something. So
Okay.
they haven't really. I think it's still a work in
Okay.
progress. It's being discussed today in committee. Yeah, barcoding, boom, boom, boom. Only Board of Elections. They now want to maintain records for 22 months. I think it used to be 10 months or 12 months.
Okay.
Now, this other one, voter assistance log. Now, I'm a precinct worker, and there were times I had to get my chief judge to help somebody, fill out their ballot who came to curbside. So
Mm-hmm.
this will be a new log where you have to print and sign your name. Who was the person? Because you could always right now you could have a family member help you. Close friends, but there was never a log. So now they want to have a log on this stuff, um, moving forward. So let me see if I can't move this down a little bit. Hopefully, it's moving on your
We see
screen.
it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Um, Provisional ballots. So if you register during early voting, first time registration, this one, now they want you to do provisional ballots. Now, I registered many people during the presidential and the midterm during early voting. They came in, they had a driver's license, a utility bill, boom, boom, boom. They say who they were, and so we got them registered, same day register, and gave them a regular ballot. This one now they're recommending any same day registration during early voting. You do a provisional.
Okay.
Um, and then there's some number 9, some new requirements for records after the canvas and the certification. Um, and any number 10 voter in the county can file a challenge to voters' absentee ballots before anybody across the state could challenge any county. So I believe this is now you have to be in the county if you're going to challenge an absentee ballot, in that county. And then the absentee ballots number 11. Now they're going to require printed names for the witness and the signatures, because sometimes you just cannot read what chicken scratch people as people sign their name.
Okay.
Then they're talking about a new software for signature matching to absentee ballots. So I think they look at your registration card, they look at your absentee ballot, and the program can determine if you are who you say you are. Number 13. So you have to have nonpartisan makeup of the voter precincts. It can't be all Republican, can't be all Democrat. And so they're doing the same thing on election day and early voting. One stop. It makes sure everybody working in that precinct it has to be of different parties. So that kind of makes sense to me. I'll slide down a little bit more. We're almost done. Precinct official. Okay, number 14. Appeals from the Board of Elections will go to the Superior Court. Instead of going all the way up to the the State Board of Elections. I think they're trying to decentralize that. And then number 15, okay, if you impersonate an election official, it's a misdemeanor. And I got a couple more I need to bring to the top. And we're almost done.
Okay.
There's a problem at a precinct, and the machines go down or something. Now a judge can extend. This precinct, you could stay open till 7:30. You could stay up to 9:30.
Okay. So to accommodate the people who were affected by that problem.
Right. So that kind of makes sense. Yeah. And then now the SBI will investigate election felony, poll observers or shifts. When I worked at precincts, each party, sent us each precinct who are their Democrat and Republican poll workers. So, like, if you were a precinct or a poll observer and you did a 4-hour shift in the morning, then you could go to another precinct that same day and do another 4-hour shift. So this, as long as you're on their approved list. Number 19, during early voting, like our assistant judges, they could run to the store, get some food, come back. On election day, once we get to that voting precinct, we all have to sit there the whole day. We can't go, now you go to the bathroom, you could go out, but now you can, run to McDonald's or something, come back, because you always have 3 judges. So as long as 2 are there at the same time, then they're saying, hey, one can take a break and come back.
Okay.
And then I'm not sure with this 2-factor authentication for mail-in. They say that has to be developed by the State Board of Elections.
Okay.
That for all counties to do. And this number 21, because we briefly allowed felons to vote in the last election. This is clarification saying that they will not be prosecuted unless they knowingly voted and they shouldn't have voted. So that gives them a little slap. And then there's some other requirements in 22 that I don't fully know right now. So I'll stop
Okay.
sharing.
So I think what people should be watching is what changes they should expect to see at the polls when they go to vote. Some of that stuff is behind the scenes. It's specific to the poll workers. But some of that it does directly affect the voter. I think it's interesting that people are always so up in arms about the mail-in ballots, and the way that that's all structured. Especially given the information you just shared about us having the longest mail-in ballot period, because I think that that is a huge buffer for what some people may consider as an issue. And so yeah.
Yeah. So this is my last because we only got 5 minutes. So
Mhm.
um, this is from the November midterm, and this is only mail-in ballots that were accepted. On the left side, it's broken down by political party on the top of
Mhm.
who did mail in by party and a percentage, and then below that it's the total voter registration from. I took it 2 weeks after the election. So
Okay.
it's not today's numbers; it's November 2022 numbers, and like we always knew, Democrats they like they typically will take advantage of early voting. The 81,000, almost 82,000 Republicans, not even half of that. 34,400
It's
unaffiliated.
so interesting though when you break it down by race, because I'm gonna tell you what I think with the black community, and I don't speak for the whole black community, but I just speak for the few little people that I talk to within the community, which is more than just a few little people. I'm exaggerating. I think black people historically have not really trusted that mail-in ballot process. And so when you see that 20% of the black registered voters did the mail-in process, I think that speaks to, okay, we'd rather go in person. And a lot of go ahead. I'm gonna stop right
Yeah.
there for the sake of time.
Since we're talking about race, the right side is the breakdown by uh, black, Native American, Indian. Other is like your Asian, your two or more races. People, many Hispanics will not pick black or white, or they'll just leave that blank. But then
Right.
they'll ethnicity, they'll put Hispanic. So the top right is the number by race. The bottom right is the registered voters by race.
Hmm.
Um, so in the bottom right, the yellow line, 20.3% of the electorate identify as black. And
Hmm.
then you go to the top right in the yellow, 12.6% of the
Of that
black
20%.
voters. Right. So 20% is the makeup of all registered voters. Um, so then we go to the bottom right in the light blue. Whites make up right at 65% of the registered voters in North Carolina.
And
Back in November.
72% of them were like, we'll just mail it in.
You
Y'all,
know, so
y'all white people trust the mail.
I, I have the only time I ever mailed in a ballot when I was in the
In
military.
the military,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's what it was intended for. It was not intended for people that live in the community to mail in their ballot. It was intended for people who did not reside in the community or who had some sort of a serious circumstance that prevented them from being able to go to the Board of Elections to vote. It was not
Mhm.
intended to be a mechanism that was utilized for able-bodied individuals that lived in the community to cast their ballot. You were supposed to go to the location, to the poll, and cast your ballot. But anyhow,
Yeah.
I want to point out two things before we wrap today. And I'm gonna see if I can share my screen, Ted. And I don't know if it's gonna work.
Let me
But
stop
okay, you have
sharing.
to unshare. Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
gonna try because I'm gonna just try. Hold on. First, I want to say to my two co-hosts, happy Father's Day.
Oh,
And to
thank
all
you.
of the other dads that are out there that are watching our program, happy Father's Day. I know a big deal is always made every year for moms about Mother's Day, but we wouldn't be mothers if it wasn't for fathers. So happy Father's Day, gentlemen.
Thank
Also, I want to point out, and Mr. Floyd did a phenomenal job of making sure that we did not forget. I want to point out that June the 19th is Juneteenth.
you. Mm-hmm.
And that's a big deal. Now, my daddy is from Texas. So while we're talking about fathers, happy Father's Day, dad, and happy Father's Day, husband. But my dad's from Texas, and so we've always, and my mom's from Buffalo, and so these are those two communities have always, for as long as I can remember, celebrated Juneteenth because it actually originated in Texas. So it's a big deal there. Juneteenth essentially is the time where it was almost a year later when Black folk were finally informed, hey, you're not a slave anymore. You are free. And so it is the day that the Black community typically comes together to celebrate their declaration of freedom. But now let me ask y'all a question because I heard something that I didn't know. Did y'all know that apparently there's a town near Charlotte? Is it Charlotte? Where the people still don't know that they's free? Have y'all ever heard that?
Now,
Mm.
Ish, I tell you what, as we close, we still don't know that we are free today
There
because
you
we
go.
still got people telling us
Telling us.
what to do, how to do it, and who to vote for.
There
So
you
we're
go.
still not free.
And that's the gritty in the city and the word on the curb. So make sure you like, subscribe, share, and follow. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Ted, I want to put all of your graphics on our Facebook page. So I'm going to purpose to do that. And I'm going to purpose to try and get it done by the end of today. Because I think that those are good graphics and people need to see them. Mr. Floyd, what do we know about people?
Well, if we stop talking about each other, we'll be pretty good. Teach so much good in the worst of us and so much bad in the best of us. Could behoove none of us, teach none of us to talk about the rest of us. So have a wonderful weekend. See you at
Mm-hmm.
the Festivity Park
And
Saturday.
Mr. Moan, you got any closing words before I hit this outro?
No, I think well, I think we had fun today. I think we had fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we'll catch y'all on the next episode.